Is briefly show you how your students can get into their textbook and how they can find certain items within the online platform. On their Chromebook, they should have something that instead of saying staff bookmarks, for them, it'll say student bookmarks. And then when they slide down, they'll see something right here that says Clever Portal. They'll just click on Clever Portal. It instantly takes them, and it may ask them to log in using their Google account through the school. Have them go ahead and log in through that Google account. Then what they can do is they can scroll down, and they will see right here where it says IL Classroom. If they want to, they can favorite it, and when they do, now it will be something that shows up at the top of the page when they come in. Now when they click that IL Classroom, it logs them in, and it starts them off where they last finished. In this case, we finished with all the classes. You'll see all the classes here. We're going to go ahead. This is one of Mr. Young's students. So we'll log into that class. In that class, they can see all of the assignments that they have been given. If they would like to work on them, all they have to do is click in to start the cool down. It'll give you tools and everything like that. The tools right here. Let me go ahead and dismiss this. The tools right here they have a 4-function calculator, a scientific calculator, graphing. If they were in geometry, they may be doing a little bit of different things they would use for constructions, probability, but then it also has a spreadsheet. You may or may not have seen some of your students maybe a little bit frustrated with using some of the spreadsheets for the first unit that we had. But if they click that, up pops the calculator. They can use the calculator as they continue to move through the problem. What will happen is, this is a cool down, and this is normally what we give at the end of a lesson. With this cool down, what it does is it asks a question. In this case, it says Claire volunteers at a local library during the summer. Her work includes putting labels on 750 books. How many minutes will she need to finish labeling all the books if she takes no breaks and labels 10 books a minute? So all they want for this one is for the students to actually put how many minutes it's going to take. Well, with 10 minutes, 750 divided by 10, okay. 75 minutes is what we're going for. If we say, well, what about 15? Well, let's say I'm not as certain about that. Okay, so I have 750, and I divide it by 15. Oh, okay, should take about 50 minutes to complete. So then, after they finish that, they can come to this last part. And it says, suppose Claire labels the books at a constant speed of S books per minute. Write an equation that represents the relationship between her labeling speed and the number of minutes, M, it would take to finish labeling. So all we would say is it's going to be 750 equals S, and then we would say times M, and that would be our solution there. So as you can see for this, the other thing that many students have missed is they need to, when they're finished, mark done. Once they mark done, then it actually finishes and completes. After this, if they wanted to go back to see their classes, they could go back to classes and then go back into Mr. Young's class and look at all of these other items they have to complete. As they go through, realize some of the cooldowns, I believe 2.4 is a better example. Some of them will ask things. For instance, in this one, for number 2, it says, look at the equation. If you were going to solve for the equation, what does the solution actually mean? As we look at it, they're not asking them to solve the equation. What they're asking them is if you were to solve for t in this case, what would it mean? Well, for this purpose, what t actually means is the number of shirts I would have in the box. And that is all we're really asking them to do, trying to improve more upon that ability for them to tell me what does the variable actually mean in the context of the problem, and less of the answer is just going to be, I believe with this one, I was somewhere around 30 shirts in the box. Or excuse me, no, it was 20. So that is what the cool down looks like. Students will get a cool down at the end of each lesson, or at least they should. There are also other types. For instance, Mr. Young also gave here digital task statements. There are also practice problems that sometimes they will give as well. There are a variety of things, but all the lessons that the teacher does in class and they're using are all kept here. And when a student does it and it's graded and returned, you'll be able to click back in. And so if we look at this one and we look at what has happened, we can look back through the notes that were given. We can look back at our answers and things of that nature. It also had a portion to record, but this one also has as well some of the other stuff that is talking about a spotlight video where it shows the students an example of actually having a discussion. This is something that Algebra 1 has set up, but they are working on trying to get them all set up for geometry as well as Algebra 2. And so that is where they can find a lot of the digital stuff just by going through classes. Excuse me. The other place they can go, let's say they forgot their book, but they really wanted to look up something in the book. They can always go to this spot here where it says Home. When I click on Home, okay, it's taking me back here. What I can also click is over here, you can see where it says Illustrative Math, AGA. When you click there, then it takes the students into the courses. They can select their book, Algebra 1. Once they're there, it kind of talks about the pacing guide and everything, but then they can click into the unit they're in. For instance, right now we are in Unit 2. So when they click in there, then they can look at a variety of different things. They can check their readiness, they can go through all of these lessons, and they can look at them. The most important thing for many of the students is all the way down at the bottom, which is student and teacher books. Now, students will only have access to the student books, even though it says teacher, they will only have access. Not only does it have in English, but it also has it in Spanish. So they could do the PDF, and they could continue to follow along as they go through, or they could actually use an ebook, and that would help. Going back to where we just were, if the students want to see some of the videos, they come right here, and there are video summaries. Okay, so we go video summaries right here, and then it says over here what portion. So if we just finished lesson 3 in class, I would click this video and I could watch a video on what happened during my lesson today or for the first 3. So if I was absent, something of that nature, I could always watch that and go through. So that's just a brief overview of where you can find some things within the platform. Again, this is all logged in through Clever. This is the Imagine Learning setup and classroom they have, and where all the assignments are. Here are the ones that are actually done after it was submitted, and then they can look at their past assignments as well and kind of see how they've done on previous assignments as well, and that's something they could talk to the teacher about with any of that as well. Again, this is just a brief couple-minute overview of how everything is. If you have other questions, I would ask or have your students ask their teacher so we can find that and make sure we can really help them out.